turn the light on. No, you can't come in, Messiah. Peace, love, and light. I just wanted to do a video today. Something that was on my mind and something that I wanted to finish from the other day. And my grandson is desperately trying to get into this room, and I locked the door and locked him out. But we're going to ignore him for a minute. But this is a magazine that I found. I don't even remember where I got it from. But I'm an avid reader, so I pick up things from the different places that I go. It probably was, if it wasn't Inner Space, it was maybe Phoenix and Dragons, some place that I went to that, you know, has this type of material in it. Don't really remember. Peace, love, and light, everyone. This morning, I wanted to talk to you about the law of rhythm. And I've been talking from the book, The Kybalion, a lot, because I've been reading that a lot over the past couple of weeks, and it's really helped me to understand principles of life. And the law of rhythm is becoming one of my favorite ones because it really speaks to mastering yourself through your emotions. I'm sure we can all point to instances in the world, thanks to social media, where people just let their emotions run rampant in their lives, and it just causes them to make a lot of mistakes and do things that they really, really regret because they're unable to control their emotions. And so the law of rhythm really speaks to that. And I'm going to speak to you from the law of rhythm, and I'm going to read the article, and it's called The Law of Rhythm, and it's by Melba Black, PhD. I'm just going to read a little bit of it. It's not long at all. I'm just going to read a little bit of it so you can kind of get where I'm coming from. If you've never heard of the Hermetic principles, there are a lot of videos on YouTube that give you a basic understanding of them. But to really get the meat of it, you got to go out and buy a book about it and read it. You got to go out and buy a book and read it. You know, the YouTube is just a start. You can't, to me, there's no such thing as a scholar just watching YouTube. You got to go pick up a book. YouTube is a good place to start, but you got to go pick up a book and read deeper about the subjects that you're interested in, because it's so much to learn, and we have one lifetime maybe to actually learn something and try to master it. So anyway, I'm not going to get on my soapbox. So I'm going to read to you from this article. And the principle of the law of rhythm from the Kybalion says, everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. So if you got to see my last video, I pulled out my little pendulum here that I use for my Reiki practice, and you get to see a pendulum. And so what the law of rhythm is saying basically is, say this side over here is good and this side over here is not so good, and at this point you're neutral. So you could be hot, you could be cold to that same degree. You could be happy, you could be sad to that same degree. You could be inspired, you could be not so inspired to that same degree. So there's a rhythm, and as much as you go this way, you go to that same extent to the other side. So hopefully that can kind of give you a visual example of what the principle of rhythm is about. So reading from the article, it says, balance is a way to neutralize extreme swings pertaining to the Hermetic law of rhythm. This principle embodies the truth that everything in the universe, without exception, is in a state of pendulum-like movement. The ebb and flow of the tide, rotation of the planets, the moon phases, and the seasons, not to mention the rise and fall of empires and nations. So if you're a student of history like me, I like to go back and read about civilizations that have been long since passed away, to see them start off from a low position, they come up to, you know, their peak, quote unquote, and then they begin their decline. And we always talk about the things that are going on in America, and how America is supposed to be such a great country, but many of us can look at America and see that it's actually on its way down. So America had its start, which wasn't so great because they depended on free slave labor. They depended on, us to build the country. But at any rate, it started off at a certain place, it reached its peak, and then it's starting to decline based on what we see going on in our society today. According to the Hermetic law, the law of rhythm permeates all of life: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So we talked about the pendulum swinging. So you start off, say from the physical experience, you start off as a little baby, you're learning, you're full of life, you're the Energizer Bunny, as we call it. You're everywhere doing everything. You get into your adolescence and teens, you're full of energy, you're full of life. 20s, 30s, 40s, depending on how you live, you can still feel that same energy. But at a certain point in life, your physical body does tend to decline some. Even if you're mentally there and spiritually there and emotionally still there, your physical body can start to experience a decline until our physical body is no longer able to sustain us and we depart this life. Mentally, we start off as not knowing too much of anything, and we receive an education which is supposed to bring out the good things in us to help us to manifest our purpose in life. And we go through all of those stages of growing mentally, and at a certain point in life, sometimes it's like we go on a mental decline. Hopefully we won't experience that, but according to the law, there is a ebb and flow. So you go through that. Emotionally, the same thing. We go through stages in life where we're really learning how to express ourselves emotionally. We get to a point where we're trying to master that. And then sometimes it can be situations that bring out the worst of us, and we look at that situation, examine it, and say, oh, next time I'm going to do better. Same thing spiritually. We learn, we all go on those journeys where we feel like we have to find ourselves spiritually. That's where I am in life. Even though I've got to be a certain age, I've experienced Christianity, I've experienced Islam. I'm studying spiritual concepts in life now. And you go through those times in life where you feel like you are really, really in touch with your divine self, and sometimes you feel like you're not. This law is mutable, which means you have a say in how much the pendulum swings either way, but you still have to work within this law. So when we say the term mutable, that means something that you can affect personally. When we say a law is immutable, that means that you can't change it no matter what you do. Say, for instance, gravity. As long as we're on this planet, gravity is an immutable force in our lives. So what goes up does come back down. So this law is mutable, which means you have a say in how much the pendulum swings either way, but you still have to work within the law. So you can't escape it, but you can have some control over how you react to it. Even your breath adheres to this law as you breathe in and out a steady flow. For example, you have conscious awareness of your breath and can alter the rhythm of the inhales and exhales. And you can guide the breath using intention and awareness. So for those of you who practice meditation, you understand what that is about. When we're in a state of meditation and there's focus on the breath, we can slow it down to such a point where we're hardly breathing, but we still have to breathe, right? We can't stop breathing, and that's what this goes on to say. However, you can only hold your breath temporarily before the automatic response of your body kicks in. Try holding your breath and see what happens. So the last thing I'm going to say about this is self-mastery is the key to overcoming the effects of the extreme swings in your life. Okay, so we're going to talk about self-mastery. And one of the things that I have learned from reading and studying myself and talking to other people is that we actually can master ourselves. We can control our emotions. We can master our spiritual selves. We can master our mental selves, and we can master our physical selves. I'm working on all of those kind of simultaneously. But the spiritual part of it is definitely the biggest challenge, because when you've been taught a certain way for so long, it's kind of hard to let go of certain things. But at the end of the day, when your soul is calling you towards something, you have to listen to that. Because what is that soul? That is your divine energy. That is your divine nature that's causing you and calling you to rise up and do something better and different with your life. Not that what you experienced was so bad, because it's all been a part of your journey. But when it's time for you to go to something higher and more on target with your purpose, you bring the good things that you've learned with you, and it helps you in your experience to grow stronger and better. So you can have mastery over your control of your spiritual self. And that is by studying who you are, really understanding who you are as a being, and understanding your divine nature, because we all are divine. The divinity is out here, yes, but it's more so in here too, because we have the essence of the Creator within us. And that's what we're here to develop and grow from. So it's not about chasing money. It's not about chasing a man. It's not about chasing a woman. Those things are great. They add to our experience here. But the biggest benefit is tapping into that God within you, tapping into that spiritual nature that you have, tapping into that divine force that you have, that divine creative force, and allowing that to manifest and come out and create the world that you desire to live in, because you have the power to do that. You have the power to design your own life. You have the power to live. You have the power and the right to live on your own terms as a divine being. And it's not up to anybody else to determine that for you. You determine that for yourself. Mastery on a physical level. Our body is our temple. So we have to be mindful of what we put into our body, physical nature, as far as food, as far as drink. We have to be mindful that our body needs movement and exercise to reach its fullest potential. So, we got to get out there and at least do 30 minutes of exercise every day to reach our fullest potential. We got to be mindful that there are things that we're given as food that's not really food for us. So that involves study and reading labels and understanding what these chemicals are and what they're meant for, because we're not living in a society that's about our growth. This society is about our death. So we have to separate ourselves from that in every single way that we possibly can, bit by bit by bit. So we have to be mindful of what we put into our body, mindful how we take care of our body. That's on the physical level. Mental level, what are you feeding your mind? I know a lot of us are into reality TV shows, but I've pretty much cut TV completely out of my life. I'm into reading books. I'm into studying. I'm into having great conversations with people, building on the knowledge that we have. And I find that my life is more positive because I don't watch the garbage. I have my favorite shows. I'm into science and nature and, just learning about creation. But the rest of that foolishness they can have. And you got to ask yourself, why is this even on TV? Is this uplifting us? Or is this teaching us that we could just go out in society and just do what the hell we want to, and, we don't have to answer for it? Yes, you do. Yes, you do have to answer for it, because everything you put out, you get back. That's a law of the universe too. It's called karma. So we have to be mindful of what we're putting up here, because this is the strongest weapon that we have. The scriptures say no weapon formed against the righteous shall prosper. The scripture says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, spiritual wickedness in high places. So it's not about what weapon somebody can come up with. This is your greatest asset. And if you're building yourself mentally, nobody can touch you. It's not about being arrogant, but if you know who you are, if you have your facts, if you know how things work, you know how to order yourself, then you're good. You're good. And my battery's getting ready to go dead. So we're going to hurry up and end this. And then the last one, once again, is emotional. And that's a big one for me, because I know I used to be a very, very emotional person. And when I was much younger, very, very emotional. But now, as I've lived life, I've studied myself. I've had people just set me straight in my own foolishness. And I'm really happy to say that I made progress in that area. And I really pay attention to how I feel, because it's important to look at how you feel in a situation. We always talk about spiritual vampires and people who just come around you and you feel like, dang, why do I feel bad after talking to this person? You got to be aware of how those people make you feel. You got to be aware of how you feel about certain issues and instances and situations that you're in. And if you don't feel good in it, then don't stay in it. Okay? But the key point I'm trying to make is to be aware of it. Where are you? Where are you in regard to the law of rhythm? Are you over here? Are you way over here and just, happy, happy, happy? Remember that pendulum is going to swing back the other way. So the thing we have to do is be mindful of that emotion that we're feeling and say, okay, you know what? No matter what happens, I'm going to rise above it. I'm going to observe how I'm feeling, and I'm not going to let it run my life. Not saying that you can't have emotions, that emotions are bad, because we definitely have them and they can be a tool for us, but we don't want them running our lives or allowing us to make bad decisions. And that's another thing I want to add as I close out. Nobody can make you do anything. You make a conscious decision every day of how you want to live your life, what you want to do, where you want to go, who you want to be with. Nobody can make you mad, happy, angry, sad, whatever. That choice is yours, and I want you to embrace it and be happy with those decisions that you make and take responsibility for it, because in my heart and mind, that's the beginning of godhood. And when I say godhood, I mean expressing your divinity while you're in this physical realm. That's the beginning of godhood, to say, you know what? I take responsibility for whatever situation I'm in, and it's my responsibility to change the situation that I'm in. Ain't no power outside of you going to do that for you. You got to do it for yourself. The universe is in you, and you are the universe. And just as the universe is growing and changing, expanding, you can do the same thing, okay? So that's my talk for the day on the law of rhythm. Like I said, lots of YouTube videos on the Hermetic principles. Go check them out. It might change your life. I know it's changed mine. So I want to wish you or extend to you the greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Peace, love, and light. It's beautiful here in Atlanta. I'm about to go get out in it, and I hope you do the same, okay? Have a good one.